Why standing up too fast makes you black out. You get off the couch. That's it. That's the whole action. You've done it 10,000 times without a thought. And this time, halfway to standing, the room drains of color. The edges of your vision close in like a curtain. Sound goes distant and thin. For one long second, you are not entirely sure where you are, and your knees are already softening under you. Then it passes. You laugh it off. Just a head rush. Stood up too fast. Except that wasn't a head rush. That was your brain being cut off from its blood supply. And what happened in that second wasn't a glitch or clumsiness or you being tired. It was a precise mechanical failure in one of the most important systems your body has. And if it had lasted just a little longer, your body was already preparing to do something drastic to you. Something violent. Something that would look, from the outside, exactly like an accident. But to understand what your body was about to do, you first have to understand the problem it was trying to solve. And that problem is gravity. Right now, your heart is a pump sitting roughly in the middle of your body, and it has one job that never ends. Push blood upward against gravity into your brain. Your brain sits at the top of you, and it is the single most demanding organ you own. It cannot store oxygen. It has no reserve tank. It runs every second of your life on whatever is being delivered right now. Interrupt that delivery for a few seconds, and it starts shutting down. Not eventually, immediately. Now lie down. Everything's easy. Your heart and your brain are on roughly the same level, and blood flows to your head almost for free. And then you stand up, in one sharp movement. In that instant, gravity gets what it's been waiting for. A significant volume of your blood, a real measurable amount, drops straight down into the big veins of your legs and your abdomen and just pools there. Which means, in the space of a heartbeat, there is suddenly less blood available to push upward. The pressure at the top of the system falls, and the top of the system is your brain. Now, your body isn't defenseless here. It has a system built precisely for this moment, and it's genuinely elegant. Embedded in the walls of your arteries are tiny pressure sensors, baroreceptors, that monitor your blood pressure beat by beat by beat. The instant they detect that drop, they scream at your brainstem, which fires back orders: clamp the blood vessels shut, speed the heart up, force the pressure back up before the brain notices anything is missing. It's called the baroreflex, and most of the time it is so fast and so seamless that you stand up and feel absolutely nothing, but it isn't instant. It takes a couple of seconds. And here's the number that decides everything. Doctors define this failure with a very specific threshold: a drop of just 20 millimeters of mercury in your systolic pressure within 3 minutes of standing. 20. Against a typical reading of around 120, that sounds almost trivial. A rounding error. But your brain doesn't experience it as a rounding error. 20 is enough to dim the lights. And if you're dehydrated, so there's less blood in the system to begin with, or you've just eaten a heavy meal that pulled blood into your gut, or you just stepped out of a hot shower, which left your vessels wide open and relaxed, you don't have to work at all to cross that line. You just have to stand up quickly. So for a couple of seconds, your brain is running on a supply that isn't enough. And that is when your body plays its last card. Because if the pressure doesn't come back fast enough, your brain does something that seems at first completely insane. It shuts you off. It cuts your consciousness, releases the tension in every muscle holding you upright, and drops you to the floor. And that is not the failure. That is the solution. Look at what fainting actually accomplishes. The problem was that your brain was too high above your heart for the blood to reach it. So your body solves it in the most direct way physics allows. It removes the height. On the ground, your head and your heart are level again. Gravity stops being an enemy. Blood floods back into your brain within seconds, and most of these episodes are over in well under a minute. You wake up, confused, on the carpet, wondering what just happened. Your body knocked you unconscious to save your life. It is one of the strangest defense mechanisms you own, a controlled crash. And it works. The problem is what your body doesn't get to choose. It can decide to drop you. It cannot decide where, because your brain doesn't check whether you're standing on a rug or at the top of a staircase. It doesn't know you're stepping off a curb, or holding something hot, or standing on a hard tile floor, or leaning over a glass table. It only knows the pressure is gone and the fix is the floor, and it takes the fix. Which is why the real danger here was never the fainting, it's the landing. And the scale of that is bigger than almost anyone realizes. Fainting, syncope, accounts for something on the order of 740,000 emergency department visits a year in the United States alone, and orthostatic hypotension is behind a substantial share of them. And in older people, this stops being a curiosity and becomes something far more serious. Over 3 million older adults show up at American emergency rooms every year after a fall. Broken hips, broken wrists, head injuries. A single second of low pressure, standing up from a bed at 3 a.m., can end an independent life. And there's one more layer to it. Because in a healthy young person, that dark curtain is usually nothing more than a reflex being a half second slow. But when it starts happening often, when it becomes routine, it stops being a quirk and starts being a message. That same weak regulation may be pointing at dehydration, at a medication doing more than it should, at a nervous system, or a heart that isn't keeping up. The head rush isn't always the problem. Sometimes it's the symptom. So the next time you spring up off the couch and the world briefly goes gray at the edges, understand what you just watched. That wasn't nothing. That was your brain at the top of a failing pressure line, running out of the one thing it can't live a single second without. And your body standing by, ready to take you off your feet and put you on the floor to fix it. It will do that for you. It will knock you down to save you. It just can't promise you a soft place to land.